Hey guys, so if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're familiar with Chivalry 2 and you're aware of the latest update that just dropped last week. Now I didn't really want to do this video as I want to keep this channel a positive space, and I also wanted to give the hardworking developers at Torn Banner the benefit of time. But as I said, this update has been out a week and sadly there's a few issues that still persist and as of yet haven't even been acknowledged. I'm going to try and keep this as light-hearted and as positive as possible, but some of the issues I want to draw attention to are getting fucking tedious at this stage and my patience is wearing thin. Now, let it be known, I love Chivalry. I'm one of the few console players who braved Chivalry 1 in all its 20 frames per second glory back on PlayStation 4. It was a terrible console port from PC at the time, and with virtually zero marketing campaign, few in the console sphere even knew of its existence. Despite this, I fell in love with its charm and humour and have been a fan ever since. The footage you're watching is running on PlayStation 5, so the frames are far improved here, but you can see just how far the series has evolved.
You listening, boy? Wrong choice. I'll split your belly open for your disrespect.
With the benefit of hindsight, it actually feels like the bot AI is actually more intelligent here. I completely forgot the first game had a horde mode too, albeit primitive, but it was a feature in the game that the sequel would benefit immensely from. I'm sure the devs are intending to add it into Chivalry 2 at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. Look at this dude rocking a sling. That's something you don't see every day. Now in Chivalry 2, I've dropped over 500 hours across PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 since launch, but even more since the closed beta. I've covered this game on the channel for over a year, and I want to continue to cover it, so everything I'm about to say comes from a place of love. I want nothing but success for the game. For that to materialize, there are some bugs, glitches, and issues that really need addressing. I must stress, this is only relevant to PlayStation. These issues may or may not exist on Xbox and PC, but my Chivalry experience on this channel is purely PlayStation, so everything you're about to see was recorded on PlayStation 5, for the record. Some of the issues I'm about to discuss are reoccurring bugs that seem to reappear every single fucking update, or have been largely present since launch. Now, by industry standards, Chivalry 2 has been a success since its release, but being a regular player since launch, I have noticed the player base shrink. Of course, this is relative to all games over time, but having an ear in the community suggests the vast majority of players left, are leaving, or will leave due to the loss of patience with various in-game issues not being addressed. Now, I want what the devs want. I want Chivalry 2 to be a success for years to come. The potential is evidently here. But rather than get any more cosmetics or maps, the focus surely must be on resolving existing bugs first to maintain a healthy future. With the game just being released on the Game Pass, there's now a new population of players who can hopefully fall in love with Chivalry the way we did. However, I hope that's not an excuse to rebed the player base in the short term and not fix the game's issues in the long term. If the plan is to release Chivalry 2 on PlayStation Plus next to increase the player base and the game's exposure even further, I welcome that, but not at the expense of having a stable and balanced experience. 90% of those new players would likely dissipate if the issues I'm about to discuss remain for a prolonged period. Now firstly, I will always welcome new cosmetics and customization options. Variety is the spice of life after all, and throughout my playtime, I've amassed an impressive array of customization. At this point, it takes a really long time to set everything I would like, which is why it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that after every single update, the same bug returns. The bug in question is the game repeatedly resets your cosmetics back to default, sometimes randomly after a match, most noticeably after closing down and rebooting the game. For the last minute plus, you've watched speeded up footage of the reset I go through. Now bear in mind this was just Agatha. I have to repeat this process for both Mason and Tenosia, all in all taking around 35 minutes. Now for the purpose of science and evidence, now I'm happy with my selections, let's reboot the game. And lo and behold, all your shit's back at default. For someone like me trying to create content, this bug is intolerable and is literally driving me to not want to play at all. It's returned and has been present for the last week since the update. If it's not just PlayStation players experiencing this, you're on the right track to driving away your player base. Please fix this as soon as possible, and for the love of Christ, stop letting it return. The most positive addition to the game from this update for me personally, and I'd imagine most console players, is FOV sliders. Finally, after more than a year of being handicapped against PC players, we can even the playing field, even if it's only by a small margin. I'll always welcome field of view options of PvP games that are cross-play with PC. In the year 2022, about to be 2023, it should be standard by now, first and foremost on next-gen systems. It took more than a year, but we finally got it. Bravo. Another new addition worth noting was the inclusion of the first dual-wielded weapons into the game, the katars. I posted a video a few days ago regarding these, so go check it out if you're curious. I'll link it at the end of this video. The last major addition worth noting was the new team deathmatch map, the Hippodrome. Sadly, this map seems to be buried in the Mounted Warfare playlist, and sometimes I was in map rotations for nearly 2 hours before it came around. Now typically, when a new map was added to the game, it was placed in a limited time playlist or at least have higher frequency in the rotation, so for the first week or two of launch, the player base could really enjoy the new map. For whatever reason, this wasn't the case this time around, so those of us eager to play the new map had to invest considerable time in order to get a chance to see it. I tried the server browser, but on console it's not exactly top tier, so I struggled to find any Hippodrome specific playlists. I can say though that from my 3 experiences of the Hippodrome, it seems fun and a decent addition to the game. I just wish there was an easier way to experience it on demand. Now speaking of the Hippodrome, this is where I can segue nicely into the second topic of fraudulence, the first being the cosmetic reset bug. The second major issue I've encountered since the update is after every single death in the Hippodrome, the game will in some way freeze the respawn timer at 0. It will eventually reset and spawn you in, but waiting up to a minute to respawn in a game like Chivalry is the opposite of fun. This bug seems to currently only appear on the new map, so something has gone wrong somewhere, and hopefully we'll get hotfixes as soon as possible. It has been a week though, so we can only hope. Now let's get into some really unforgivable game-breaking stuff that's just making the game unplayable for a lot of us right now. Whether or not this is a universal bug, just console, or even just PlayStation, it's just infuriating. On almost all of the in-game pickups or interactables, the second you pick it up, your emote wheel will prompt on screen, overriding your ability to do anything. This has left my character stood, dick in hand, balls flailing in the wind, on multiple occasions. I have to literally spam buttons in the hope the emote wheel discards and I regain control of my character. Now in a game like Chivalry, where there's encouragement, constant positive reinforcement to throw shit at folk, having a bug like this detracts from the gameplay experience in a massive way. You literally can't pick anything up. You can't even interact with the objectives in a siege. It just freezes. Nothing is responsive, yet when I manage to pull away, the other players, seemingly on PC I believe, seem to have no bother whatsoever. So I find this particularly game-breaking, and I'm relatively surprised it's not been patched yet. If this is only a console bug, then again, it comes back to my earlier statement. With these kinds of issues, the goodwill of the free game is lost, and your player retention and gains from a deal like the Game Pass or PlayStation Plus goes down the shitter. Stability in a game should always be paramount. It's just a shame investors seemingly have zero fucks to give about gameplay stability. Raises the whole sunk cost fallacy debate once more. If I can discover these things within minutes, how the fuck did they get greenlit past testing? Anyhow, all of the issues I've discussed so far are pertinent to the latest update. Let me quickly go over a few long-standing issues that have been around since the early days, but really aren't serving your player base and are detracting from the game's long-term health. I'm probably saying all of this in vain given the length of time they've already existed, but it's worth shining another light on them, no matter how small my platform may be. Firstly, where in the actual fuck is cross-chat? This was advertised at launch, and was a reason many players gambled on the game on the promise of a full cross-play experience. We're practically 14 months removed from launch, and there's still no cross-chat, or even the ability to add friends from other platforms. The fact I'm still waiting to squad with my Xbox brothers 14 months after release is just sad at this point. Many have since retired the game out of lost hope, and many who are just discovering Chivalry on that false promise will have their trust and faith immediately broken. Tone Banner have repeatedly delayed its implementation. I can only hope it's on the horizon and a top priority. A bug that's existed as early as the closed beta is the failure to revive someone. It makes no sense. It randomly happens for absolutely no reason at certain points during gameplay, and if you're like me and you pride yourself on being a team player and reviving everyone you can, this one really hurts. Especially when the player who bleeds out in front of you has every indication to believe you're a massive dick for not reviving, and in this case, instigates a vote to kick me from the game. Thankfully, it failed, but the PC player in question, I guess, informed his teammates via in-game chat and other future console players are refused, that I purposefully ignored him, so for the rest of the match, a select group refused to ever revive me. So despite having done nothing wrong other than suffer at the hands of a lazy bug, I now had my gaming experience negatively affected. Again, it's sad I'm discussing this bug a year after release, but here we are. Another persistent little bastard that won't go away is the helmet bug. You basically cannot play minus your helmet, regardless of your settings. So want to split a dome with Geldof's finest? You're out of luck. You'll be forced to wear your helmet at all times. Ironically, this very bug was supposed to be a thing of the past as of this update, but 6 long months later, 2 updates, and it still fucking persists. Now, for whatever reason, PlayStation players have refused the ability to switch crossplay off. Tired of being one of only a handful, if not the only PlayStation players in the whole lobby? Tired of matching in PC lobbies where you're severely handicapped? Well, tough shit, because despite the option existing in the menus, it's appeared to me that it's been slightly disabled. Literally since launch, every time I've turned this feature off for my own fucking sanity, I'm stuck in an endless matchmaking search that can stretch as far as 20 minutes before inevitably failing. At no point since I've owned the game have I ever had a single match of just my own platform. I understand Xbox players can disable crossplay from within the operating system itself to guarantee fair matchmaking between their own platform. I can't understand why this is the case on PlayStation. The developers have given no clarity on the subject to the best of my knowledge. It just feels it's a case of flipping a switch, so why are we still in this position a year later? Now, with everything I've said so far, I'm just touching on the most concerning issues I feel are detrimentally hurting the game's health and lifespan. This latest update specifically also rebalanced weapons and maps, and even removed an important faint overhead input on console that has us at an even bigger handicap to PC players. This has the pro duelists in meltdown right now, but I don't want to focus on any of that. Balance changes I can live with, even fundamentally changing button inputs over a year into the fucking game for no reason I can live with. But the bugs and main topics I've featured in this video are of great significance, and I hope they're at the forefront of Torn Banner's minds as we move forward. I love Chivalry 2, there's nothing like it on console. Well, now there's even more reason to address these issues. I love this game, and I want it to flourish into many more sequels to come, and despite the contents of this video, Chivalry 2 remains a fantastic game, and deserves your attention, especially if you have free access. Patience is a lost virtue in today's world, but if you possess this trait, Chivalry 2 can still deliver a gaming experience like no other. If any of you fine folk have Twitter and want to link the good people at Torn Banner this video, in case they aren't even aware of these issues, please do. I don't use social media these days, so I'd be grateful. Either way, let me know in the comments below if you've encountered any of these issues and what platform you're playing on. Open discourse and collective input can only benefit the game in the long run. Well, I've been Borne. Thank you for your time, guys. Please consider subbing if you're new in these parts. Do me a solid and hit the thumbs up button. It's literally fueling more people the opportunity to see it and discover your boy. Stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.